Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome back to the Dugout Football Channel, and welcome back to the World of Football podcast. Which is this is a bit of uncharted territory for me and Josh. We're actually recording a podcast, but we thought, as it's an international break, and thankfully it's over. Whoop, 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 we have decided to record another podcast. So, Josh, how you doing, my friend?
Tired, I'm in my pajamas because I thought I was going to bed an hour ago, but then I remembered I've got this. But no, listen, I think we're extremely happy to do this. We're all smiling away here. We're all ready to talk about some more good, interesting football. So let's do it.
Absolutely. We're also joined by two absolute legends of subscribers to my channel. First of all, Chris Ellis from Villa Together. How are you doing, Chris?
Yeah, really good. Thanks, mate. All good. By yourself?
Yeah, good. Very, very good. And I'm delighted to welcome Dan from Football Is, and That Is What I Want to the channel. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Doug. I just sat here thinking, Chris, I haven't seen you in so long, mate. It's really nice to see you again, bud. Feels like so long.
It's been what, two days?
Yeah, 2 days, 3 hours. Thanks for having me on, Doug. Really nice to be here, mate. Really looking forward to talking some football with you and Josh, and I'm the biggest Villa fan I know. So good, all good.
Oh, absolute pleasure to have you on. Absolute pleasure as always. And we have a Liverpool fan, a Chelsea fan, an Aston Villa fan, and a Man United fan. So it's going to be a very, very good podcast. But the reason I want to get you on, Dan, was to basically speak about non-league. Now, obviously,
well, that's all me Phil Jones notes gone. I'll just shut down like the bloody way.
Yeah, this guy, if you haven't seen him on previous streams, he always comments about Phil Jones. You must be Phil Jones's biggest fan.
Do you know what? I don't even rate the bloke, but it was in the last podcast the one before the last I did with Chris. Reese, who you're friends with on here, he was just battering him. I just said it once, and he really bit. So I was like, well, I'll have some fun with this now, and then it's just taking it on from there. So
Reece wasn't happy, was he? Wasn't happy.
Reece won't have it.
Doug, we have to get Dan and Reece on the podcast together. We have to do it.
Oh yes,
I'm making notes right now. Let me just get my notebook out.
But yeah, the reason I wanted to get Dan on was to basically talk about non-league and what kind of impact has the pandemic had on non-league football?
Well, it's where do you start? To be honest, Doug, Chris will probably back me up here. Chris is not far from me in terms of where we live, so he's pretty much knows the same sort of clubs that I go and see. The biggest issue we've got is when COVID happened. The worst thing, it happened at the worst time for non-league, in the sense of it was really getting to the business end of the season where there was a lot of good games to come, and it also stopped revenue for all of these non-league teams. Now, a lot of people who are football fans who follow the Premier League, Champions League, whatever league it is, what they don't realise, and I've only realised past sort of 18 months I've been involved in non-league, is just how much that money is needed in non-league. And so for them to have their lifeline cut off essentially with no fans being allowed to go there, it's been terrible. It's been a bumpy ride for them, for all of them, to be honest.
Oh.
so yeah, it's been a bumpy ride, and I think obviously getting back, we got the games back, which was brilliant, and obviously with fans, non-league, the steps I go to, you don't get, without saying, I mean this in no disrespect to the clubs I go watch, but you're not getting thousands of fans there. But what you are getting now at the moment is new fans who want to go and watch live football and can't. So they go and watch their local teams, and it's been refreshing for the non-league scene. Now, with the second lockdown and that cancelling football for a month, it stopped the income again. It's just been a bit of a rough ride for everyone involved. But then the other issue we've had, and I'm probably going to sound very controversial saying this, is there is talk that some clubs have been using the COVID situation to their advantage by means of when they're coming to play at a team that's doing particularly well in the league, they'll just there's been talk that they're saying, we've had a COVID test in the camp, we have to cancel the game, we have to postpone it. So, which short term is great for them, I suppose, in the league, but long term it's creating that backlog, which you boys will definitely understand. The pitches in non-league sometimes aren't the greatest, and they get churned up over the Christmas and winter months. So the issue we've got, I suppose, is will they be able to fit the games in towards the end of the season if we are able to finish the season? So, yeah, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for everyone involved.
Can I just make a comment about this?
Yeah.
So I'm in Northern Ireland, Dan. We have the Irish League, which is a part-time football league, and we have very similar circumstances to the non-league over in England because we are part-time. We don't get a lot of fans in. The clubs literally, and I mean literally, rely on fan gate money coming in. If they don't have it, they can't run. We have clubs that in Northern Ireland, our government allows fans to attend games, but obviously in a limited capacity, socially distanced. So clubs are only getting about 20% capacity compared to what they could fully get. There are some clubs that only get, like Warren Point Town, Dungannon Swifts. They only get maybe 15, 20 home fans, and only home fans are allowed.
Yeah. It's like going to a City game, really, I suppose, isn't it?
They did allow away the smaller clubs that didn't have away fan, that didn't have much home fans, were allowing away fans in. But there was a situation where Portadown scored a goal and celebrated, like literally hugged the away fans, and then they had to cut home fans out. So, it's been calculated, for a long time in the Irish League, especially leading up until the start of the season, that fans, this is damaging for communities. This is damaging for fans. It's damaging for players. Not only are jobs being ruined, communities are being ruined. People forget sometimes that football is life for some people. If you look at Bury City, Macclesfield. These are people. Fans. Fans and people lose. Like, how do you imagine if we lost Chelsea, Liverpool, United, or Villa? I
think we've lost bloody United, to be fair, haven't we?
Football's football's larger than sport. It's a passion, and it's a way of life. It's a religion, and And I know it's a shame because if this pandemic goes on, I have a possibility of never being able to see Glenavon ever play again, and it's something that just heartbreaks you. So you have to cherish these moments. But on a positive note, it does look like the pandemic could be over by the end of next spring with the vaccine news that's all coming out. So hopefully, and I've said this to Doug. If we here in Northern Ireland, who are not in a very good situation at the moment, can get fans into the ground safely, there is no reason why the English government can't do the same and try and at least give some type of support to the clubs back.
It's a tough one, mate, and I completely agree. And I would love nothing more than fans to be back in. I think football without fans is not football. It has the air of a friendly game. Every game we watch, it's like a friendly match. But my wife's a nurse, so I'm in that sort of situation where I want to go to watch football, but then at the same time, she's quite rightly saying you shouldn't be going. This pandemic's still there. The virus is still there. So I still go anyway. I'll do what I want. But I just, the problem we have is I think it's a lose-lose situation. Let all the fans back in now. You could risk setting us back 5-6 months. It's a look. Football will survive. Football will continue. It will be there. It's just whether a lot of these lower league clubs will be able to survive with it.
Well, as you say, there is a real issue with COVID because there was a game between Portadown and Carrick last Tuesday night. There was an issue. Two Portadown fans who played that game had COVID, and it ended up resulting in all of the Portadown coaching and playing staff self-isolating, all of the Carrick team and players self-isolating, and 6 referee officials all self-isolating. A total of 52 people had to self-isolate because of close contact after positive tests. And 3 Portadown players travelled to the under-21 Northern Ireland squad who had to be sent back. So that was all kind of first. So COVID is, as you say, still very much a problem. But
honestly, Josh, I'm a United fan, mate, and obviously it's hit us this season. I don't think we've had any players out there for United this season. We've been that crap. It's as if we've been affected by COVID mentally and physically. I don't get it. Pogba at the start of the season. I mean, we'll obviously go into Premier League a lot more in a bit, but Pogba was diagnosed with COVID at the start of the season, and He's never really had the chance to get back to full fitness because he was thrown back in again. And a lot of these players who have had COVID, whether they've had the symptoms or not, they're thrown back into the games, and that's the problem. You say about the team you're talking about there. They test positive, but they are, because football needs to continue. You've got fixtures that need to be fulfilled, and people are just being thrown back in. We're witnessing at the moment with football across the board, whether it be Premier League, non-league, Sunday league. I don't care what league you're talking about, but they're trying to fit as many games in as possible. There's been no real.
Yeah.
Okay, we had the break for COVID, but no one was allowed to train. Were they? They weren't allowed to do much stuff. So it's affected football massively. It has. It's not gone. It's not going anywhere fast. But as I said, football will survive. It will be back.
And I bring up a point that Josh brought up. I mean, like, we're not wanting another Macclesfield. We're not wanting another Bury. Like, prime example, Gretna. Like, everyone remembers the rise of Gretna.
Yeah.
Like, they were absolutely fantastic. They were in the Scottish Premiership, and I think it was 2008. And just ever since then, their owner kind of let the club slip away, which was really, really sad. So I really, really hope that we don't see another thing about that. So my question to you, Dan, is, do you think the government should get involved to maybe try and bail out non-league? Well,
they've actually today released. I did put it on my Twitter today. They've. I don't know if you saw it, Chris. They've done a grant down the divisions. I think they've made something for the steps that I go see. So step 3 in non-league and step 6, which I suppose is, oh my God, now you're asking me, is it step 7 to 10? I'm not sure. It's something like that. They've released 14 million for the clubs now. 14 million sounds a lot, but what people don't realise is how many clubs there are in non-league. There's thousands of them. I'm not even joking. There is. I mean, they're everywhere. So, yeah, they've done the grant. It's great, but a little thing that I found out from a football manager at the end of last season was when they stopped the season, when they cancelled the season off in non-league, all the non-league clubs were still required to pay the fines for the yellow cards that they'd taken all the season, the red cards, the bans all still stood. So for me, that was the FA's biggest opportunity to say, we're wiping that clean. Your registration is going to be paid for next season. Don't worry about it. But they don't. The FA only think about one thing, as we all know, and that's money.
Well, on that point, in pre-season, I spoke to the Glenavon chairman, and they got a fee or a grant from the Irish Football Association, but they weren't allowed to use that association on the stadium, wages, anything player related, anything maintenance related, or anything league related. So, what could you actually spend the money on when you can't spend it on the crucial things that it's going to cause this pandemic?
Yeah.
And I understand money's going to be tight because money needs to go to help in the whole COVID thing. Maybe in a sense, maybe that was a good thing because probably that's why a vaccine's been found. But I think at the same time, again, it goes back to this point. Football is a religion. Football keeps the morale up. And in lockdown in England, as Chris, I'm sure used to. Are you two both in England?
Yeah, both in the Midlands, in the Midlands, mate.
The user both back into full lockdown as you were in March, but that football will keep you smiling, will keep you going, and I think the government doesn't. I think the government underestimates that sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, let's just hope that, fingers crossed, that fans can get back in, because I think that's what football without fans is nothing. And we definitely do need fans. But yeah, absolutely fascinating about non-league, and fingers crossed that
Doug, I'll quickly say, mate, and I'll tell this to anyone listening to this, and Chris will back me up. Go to a non-league game, because once you go once, you'll get bitten by the bug. It's fun. It's great fun, and the standard of football is a lot better than people actually think. It's decent standard down there.
Yeah, I think
definitely.
I think that's one of the things about non-league. People expect it to be pretty trash.
Yeah.
But I think over the years, and you go back to, I mean, you look at in the 90s into the early 2000s.
Yeah.
As in, you look at what step 4 or 5. You're looking at the top of the non-league, so the conference as it was. And back then, the conference was, the quality was poor. There were players, these players were properly part-time, training part-time, playing part-time, earning, a small amount of money.
Yeah.
But now that kind of level is, probably you're looking at steps 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 towards the bottom of, non-league. So the regional leagues and then the more combined leagues and stuff like that, non-league, that quality is there now. Whereas you look at the non-league now, most of them are full-time. I say most of them, they're all full-time. And that's why I know still when you compare them to Premier League and Championship, there's a massive gap. But nowadays, when you come up in the FA Cup and it's a non-league team against a League One team or a League Two team, the difference and the quality is not massive. Whereas years ago it would have been, and that's because that's kind of there's a big amount of quality in the conference, so to speak, just below the league. And then the steps that kind of Dan's used to it, and I go and watch occasionally. The quality is pretty decent, so it is quite surprising. But I think big thing is it's like the fans, like. Dan said it's important because, I think another thing as well people forget as well is what makes it hard at the moment is a lot of these clubs, obviously a big part of the revenue is the fans, match day revenue and all that kind of stuff. It's not obviously just a case of the match day tickets. It's everything that comes with it, the food and drinks and everything. These guys have their own bars and they open them up and people go there. A lot of them do like half-time competitions. You buy a ticket and to try and win half of the pot. Yeah. So, these clubs make it, it's a couple of grand off things like that. And also which is going to make it hard at the moment, and it will do for a while, is there's a lot of volunteers that help out these non-league clubs. Just because they love football. A lot of the guys you see going around collecting the money, working on the turnstiles, stuff like that.
They're the heroes, aren't they? They're the heroes. Yeah.
They are 100%. And what makes it hard is that when it comes to, because of the COVID situation, when it comes to getting things going again, and obviously numbers in terms of who's allowed to be there, it makes it difficult because there's people who are, so they're volunteers, so they're not paid. So obviously they're not classed as kind of employees, so they're not required.
Yeah.
But, in theory. But then, the clubs, they depend on these kind of guys. Like you say, Dan, they are the heroes. So it makes things difficult when, for these non-league clubs because they, things like after the game, you'll get, you could get 10, 15, 20 volunteers that will help clean up and
massively.
Sort out the pitch and all that kind of stuff. And that kind of thing is going to, dwindle down massively to, 1 or 2 volunteers. And it'll make things difficult. So that's where the kind of, difficulties come in aside from finances. But, like you said, it's important. You don't want to see another Macclesfield and things like that. And
no,
I on my channel, I spoke to Lewis Kinsella a couple of months ago. And so he's an ex-Villa player, good player, to be honest. He's probably, better than the level that he plays at. He plays non-league for Aldershot. And he had a bad injury, and the club paid for his surgery, all that kind of stuff. And he's obviously still recovering now. But he set up a GoFundMe page to try and get some money back for the club. The club paid it, and it was about 10 grand they paid. For a non-league club, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys have a decent amount of money. They signed Ross McCormack a few months ago, so obviously they've got a fair bit of money.
Ross McCormack, I still can't believe that.
Yeah.
McCormack, man.
Ridiculous, isn't it, when you think 4 or 5 years ago we spent 15 million quid on him or something?
Banged him into Leeds, wasn't he? Unbelievable, man.
Yeah, I remember Ross McCormack in the Scottish Premiership I think it was from Motherwell, and he was absolutely outstanding.
Motherwell, yeah.
He was fantastic from Motherwell, and then he goes to Leeds and then goes to Villa, and I just don't know what happened to Ross McCormack. But yeah, it's amazing to see like players like him in non-league. I believe Wilfred Boney's in non-league as well. Is that right?
He was training, wasn't he?
Yeah. I remember seeing Pascal Chimbonda in a friendly for Market Drayton Town, which is a little town about 12 mile away from where I live. That was amazing. That was like 3 years after he left Spurs as well. I was like, the bloody hell's he doing here? When I went to watch Wellington. My local town is called Wellington, and I went to watch them in a league game, and they were playing Droitwich Spa, proper non-league name that is. And I was sitting next to this guy. I was filming, and this guy kept walking in between, and he stopped and went, "How are you, mate?" I said, "Oh, not bad, mate. I'm fit. Do you mind if I He's like, all right, yeah, and off he went. Anyway, some bloke come up to me 10 minutes later. He went, "That's David Stockdale, the Brighton goalkeeper." I was like, you're joking. Oh, for Christ. So I'm going, Dave. I was like, for Christ's sake. But you see these footballers. They do go to these non-league games. They do like coming.
Yeah. Oh man, that's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic.
Probably see Phil Jones game soon.
You might well.
Yeah, you might, to be honest. You might, yeah. He needs a club.
You might well. And on the subject of Phil Jones, let's go into the Premier League. And the Premier League is back this weekend. And let's start at St James's Park, where Newcastle United take on a Chelsea side who, it has to be said, Josh, would you agree with me that the international break came at the wrong time for Chelsea?
I think so. Chelsea were starting to play. We were starting to look like a team that was coming together. Looked like the chemistry was building, and Lampard had a consistent team. The defense was not conceding goals. Chelsea were not conceding goals. I know. Five clean sheets in 7 games or something like that. Thiago Silva and Mendy. Listen, I'm going to say this now. As long as Mendy didn't get injured, if I had to see Kepa playing this again, I was not going to be here tonight. I will be out that window. There's a window there. And I'm like, my heart just disappears into the darkness. Look at that.
I mean, in terms of transfer fee, has he got to be one of the worst signings ever in the Premier League?
Chris. I've suffered enough, all right? Listen, honestly, I would play Petr Cech over him. I play a retirement board member.
You'd get a game over him, Josh, wouldn't you? I think you'd probably put you in the sticks instead of him at the moment.
I'll chuck Duggan, and he's a Liverpool man. He'd probably try and get us to lose on purpose.
To be fair,
off the other day, didn't you?
To be fair, I think I've been told that I could be a centre half, and I've been told I used to be a goalkeeper. I actually did used to be a goalkeeper. So, but no, I didn't really progress anywhere. But no, honestly, Kepa Arrizabalaga has to be one of the worst buys like ever. If you take Kepa Arrizabalaga and Jordan Pickford, right? They both were bought by both clubs for a combined total of £101.8 million.
It's mad, isn't it? It's absolutely mad.
Yes, but the thing is, Pickford's still England's number 1, so his value always remains high.
Schmeichel was £500. Schmeichel was 500. I know it was different times, but 500 grand he was. Unbelievable. That.
Yeah.
But regarding the game against Saturday, listen, we all know what a Steve Bruce Newcastle team's going to do. We all know what they're going to do. 11 men behind the ball, and a big ass long ball to Saint-Maximin. He's going to run down the wing. Thank God Alonso isn't playing, otherwise we'd be screwed with him. Saint-Maximin. Listen, I think Chelsea will win. I think, yes, we're going to be short on Pulisic. Sure, just means Timo Werner beyond the left. Tammy Abraham, who Chris will obviously know very well from the Championship season, is an incredible striker. He's been really well when he's been playing, so I think we're okay in that position. We've dealt without Havertz. Mason Mount has been fine. Jorginho Kovacic will fill in nicely enough. Give us a Sparky back. And then Thiago Silva's going to be a miss. It either means we're going to play Christensen or the big hustle merchant himself, Antonio Rudiger.
Yeah.
But listen, I think Chelsea will win. Newcastle really been good this season? They haven't, that draw they got against Spurs was the luckiest draw I think you'll ever see all season.
That was horrible. That was horrible. When you look at the stats, I think they had one shot.
Yeah, it was the penalty.
Do you know what though? What got them that was, and I don't know why they didn't do it 20 minutes in, to be honest, was chucking Andy Carroll up there for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Andy Carroll. Oh, Andy Carroll.
I'll tell you what, Andy Carroll fully fit. Oh, he's a handful for any defender when he's fully fit.
Oh, you see, that's where Thiago said, "We'll come and just listen." St James's Park without fans is nothing near the same to go to. It's not the same going there. So I think Chelsea will win, but I will tell you this now: Chelsea will struggle. we will give. I will have a heart attack in this chair at 12:30 on a Saturday afternoon after coming back from work, and even better, we're going to get a last minute winner. Woohoo!
I've gone for them as my shock of the week. I've gone. I know. I'm sorry. I just got a funny feeling that Newcastle. I'm not saying I'll beat it, but I've got a funny feeling Newcastle.
I'm going to put the perfect transition in for Doug here. If you lose to West Brom at Old Trafford,
I don't think we've won in the league at Old Trafford this season yet. I don't think.
Yeah, but West Brom, even Fulham bet them. Come on.
Hey, West Brom were 3-0 up against you at one point, I think, weren't they?
Yeah, 3-each. We still keep it. We wanted to give West Brom false hope before we actually started playing like us. You see, it was all part of the strategy. Lampard should fill in the league. You see, it's
I'm sorry to say this, Josh, but I'm going for a shock. I've actually gone for Newcastle to beat Chelsea. The reason is I think the international break came at the wrong time for Chelsea, and had they continued the way that they were playing, I've gone 2-1 Newcastle. I've just got a feeling Alisson Maximin is going to have a field day against Chelsea.
Callum Wilson's important to Newcastle, isn't he? I mean, if Callum Wilson, I mean, he's a stunning striker. He's a great finisher, isn't he?
Chelsea struggle to break teams down. Don't get me wrong, but like if you go to a Burnley, you'll win 3-0. Even but guess they're bottom of the league, but still a Sean Dyche Burnley. If you're starting to beat Chris, you're beating teams that Chelsea would have struggled at last year. I think we could all say if those were games last year, Chelsea were not winning those games. So there's a difference between what Chelsea are doing last year and to what this year. We're playing better. The football's more consistent. We are able to defend. I think Kante will be really big in this game, even though Newcastle will probably overtake him, just kick big ass long ball, but I think Chelsea will win. I don't think Newcastle will cause us any attacking threat. I think Lampard has learned how to deal with a counter attack. I think that's one big thing he has learned to do. I think I just find it difficult to see how we don't win this. And Newcastle just
smell a team.
If Newcastle were playing well, like they started last season really well, but we don't have Marcus Alonso playing against St. Maximin. They'll be building Chilwell. We'll defend more. Kante will be in there.
Chilwell's injured, isn't he? Isn't Chilwell?
No, he's training.
Yeah, he's been training, hasn't he? Since the injury, just a lower back injury.
Lampard said it's only Havertz, Pulisic, and Thiago Silva's not going to play. But,
I look at Chilwell and I think he must empty a whole tub of gel on his hair before each game because I look like Ace Ventura tonight with my bloody fringe. I need to get it cut.
We've had hair just closed over here for 6 weeks and they're reopening tomorrow. Thank bloody God, I need it.
One thing with Chelsea, I've mentioned this a few times, and on the face of it, you've signed Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Ziyech as well. Good, obviously 3 very good players. Thiago Silva on a free, fairly decent. He's old, but he's been a good, competent defender for a number of years at the top level. Mendy's come in. I just feel that they bought, especially Havertz and Werner, they went and bought these players without a real plan of how to play them, and it still kind of strikes me why they haven't gone. I know they bought Thiago Silva, but why they didn't spend money on a centre half when the players they've got. The one thing is you've got Werner, you've got Havertz, you've got Ziyech. I would not say that any of them are natural wingers.
No.
They can play there, and I suppose, they'd all be kind of inside forwards. But I think in the Premier League, you need natural wingers that have got a bit of pace. And when I've looked, the number of times this season I've seen Chelsea with Mason Mount on the wing. Start of the season, there was Loftus-Cheek on the wing. And I'm thinking, I just felt like with Lampard, because he was able to spend the money, he's gone, right, we'll go for him, without a real plan of how to get them in. And it's kind of, he's almost been stumbling on what works, because Werner's played up top, he's played out wide, on the left, on the right. Havertz has played all three behind a striker. Who's his best striker? Because, at the back end of last season, Abraham was nowhere near the first team. Yeah. Now it seems like is Abraham the best man for Burnley to play with? And then I still look at it and think, especially when I watched the West Brom game, and I know it's a number of matches ago now, I look at it and I think, why haven't they bought a defender? They were crying out for a top-class centre-half last season. Yes, I know Thiago Silva's good, but is he going to play every week? No. Because he's too old, and his experience will be vital. But I just think that's the key thing at the top level about having the right balance in defence. And if you've got Thiago Silva, who's going to be in, out, pick up the odd injury as well, then you're looking at Christensen, you're looking at Rudiger, you're looking at Zuma coming in as well. There's so many different combinations there, and it still looks like that Lampard's not quite sure who his best defender is.
Who's that young lad at the back? The young
Macau tomorrow.
See, I thought you fancied him at the start of the season, but
to answer both points. So the first thing about the centre back situation, the biggest, there's two things. One on the Chelsea side and one overall. If you actually, I think Man United is a good example here. There didn't really seem to be any centre halves around the league that were really going on the transfer market. Upamecano seemed to be the biggest talking point, but then he extended an extension, so he went out the window. But was there really anyone? You were looking at probably average centre backs. Probably looking for maybe Willy Bolly or Conor Cody from Wolves. I
was a big advocate of United bringing Smalling back, to be honest, and giving Smalling.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of centre backs really going around the league for Chelsea. I think Thiago Silva on the free was probably one of our best. Was probably one of our best attributes. And then the other thing is that Chelsea have 5 centre backs. We have Tomori, Christensen, Zuma, Rudiger, Zuma, and things. So we have 6 centre backs at the club. Chelsea were never going to go out and spend 80-70 million without one of those centre backs going out, because it causes too much problem within the dressing room. There's just too much problems. So I think Thiago Silva was just simply seen as the opportunity that we can get a centre half in. He can gel the team together. And then we'll look into the next summer. So I think that was it, because we tried to get Rudiger out of the club. It failed dramatically. He didn't go anywhere. He's still here. And how do you keep 6 centre halves at a club happy? How do you do? How does Solskjaer keep Maguire, Tansiabi, Lindelof, and Bailly all happy too? So
Phil Jones, it's.
So this. I think it was simply a dressing room thing to try.
The other thing to look at from an outsider's point of view, Josh, for me, is Lampard's still. I think Lampard's still learning on the job. I mean, he did a great job with Derby. That was fantastic. Almost gets promoted, gets the dream job again. The dream job with Chelsea. Now, you look at that as you're in the exact same shoes that I am as a United fan. Your heart as a Chelsea fan and as a United fan wants the ex-player to come in and absolutely smash it, win everything they can. The head side of it is, are they ready? Are they ready for it? Now, last season, Lampard, it was a gimme for Lampard last season because we had the transfer ban. He had the players around him. He brought the youngsters through. So it was a gimme. This season is going to be the season, I think, that he is going to be judged more. He is going to be. There isn't a lot of criticism. It's start of the season. Those defensive displays when you're not getting the clean sheets, people are already getting on his back, weren't they? Questioning if his tactical knowledge was there. After West Brom, it seems he's turned a bit of a corner with the defence. It remains to be seen if he can keep it for the whole season now.
You say it very well. Lampard's learning on the job, but I've always said this. I've said this to Doug. I said this even from day one when me and him did the old Know the Score podcast with Dan all of those months ago. Now it actually feels so long ago. That was even before the season started. Lampard. It was all about how could Lampard handle the big names? How could he handle this responsibility? How can he handle the pressure? But I think it's safe to say, even after the West Brom, he is handling it well, and he's proven that he can solve problems. It is still too early to say. For me, in my opinion, because even in the Champions League group, he's got 7 points out of 3 games. So he's doing well there. He got knocked out of the League Cup. Who cares? Mickey Mouse Cup. So
I'll take it this year. I'll happily take the bloody cup this year.
I've always said a Christmas period. A Christmas period is important. How does a manager handle his squad? Solskjaer likes to play Maguire in every single game, no matter what competition game, how long it's first rest. It's all about
I agree. The reason Maguire has to play. He has to, because I don't trust Lindelof and Bailly together. I just don't. I honestly.
You got to play Tuanzebe.
So,
honestly, how the hell he hasn't played? I mean, I know he's been out for a year with the injury, but he comes in against Paris Saint-Germain and absolutely bosses. Mbappe and Neymar. You saw him more, when he was on loan with you, Chris, and I've heard nothing but good things about him when he was with you guys.
Yeah, he's one of them that's got. He's got everything. Literally got everything. He's strong. He's good. He's got. He's like. He's not mass. He's tall. He's tall enough as a defender. Probably 6 foot. 2 maybe. He's not massive, but his leap. He's got a great leap. He's athletic. He's one of the quickest defenders around. To be honest, he would have been, if we could have signed him permanently. And obviously defensively we've got a decent pair at the moment, but he would have been first choice alongside Tyrone Mings. Yeah. He is that good. He's fantastic. I don't see what. I know he's been injured, but I don't see why he hasn't played more. Obviously, as you say, since that game, it's a real odd one. But Solskjaer for you is an odd one, isn't he? So
and on the thing, just to answer the question about the wingers, but quickly, because I'm going to throw it very simply. The wingers was a disaster class from Chelsea. Willian was meant to stay, but then he got greedy, so he didn't stay. And Chelsea didn't really have any preparation. I think it was just the fact that they know that Mason Mount could play or Havertz could play. So, and yes, they're not wingers; they're terrible as wingers. But it was bad planning. But one thing I will say, and Chris, Willian had a disaster class against Villa. I watched him for 4 years straight. Now, he was at Chelsea longer, but I've only really watched Chelsea probably for the last 4 years. The guy's the worst winger in the Premier League. He's atrocious. He's overrated. He's terrible. He can't cross the ball. He can't score, and he can't assist.
You've literally just described Dan James.
He scored a wonder goal last night. He's actually scored wonder goals for Wales. Anyway, that's my Chelsea run done. Thank you.
As we were speaking on Tuanzebe, it brings me on to Aston Villa, who have to say the international break has come at the wrong time again for you guys. 3-0 away against Arsenal. I think Chris has been smiling ever since they went to the international break. How good were you against Arsenal? That must have been a big morale boosting victory over Arsenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as we said just before we came on, the 2 defeats against Leeds and Southampton, they were the Leeds game. I felt with that one, and I think I'm sure that game was the first one back after the last international break, which again frustratingly kind of knocked our rhythm a bit. And I think, I don't know, I feel like there's a bit of naivety came into it from the whole club, because before that we had 4 great wins. Sheffield United, Fulham, Liverpool. Can't remember the score in that one, but it was a good win. And then Leicester.
Oh God, I love that.
So 4 great wins. They were 4 great wins, and the good thing about those wins was that they were all 4 very different performances tactically. Tactically, we approached them to beat those teams, and that's why we got those results. It came to the Leeds game, and obviously everyone knows about Leeds and the kind of, I say they know how Leeds are going to play. It's about how you deal with it. And I don't think we adapted well enough. And I think what happened was we were, statistically, they had more chances in the first half. But overall, we went toe-to-toe with them in the first half. They probably edged it slightly. But at 0-0, we thought, okay, we can have a chance here. And then we came out in the second half. We had a couple of really good chances. And then before you know it, we were 3-0 down. And Patrick Bamford had blown us away, and I felt like we went toe to toe with them too much. If you know what I mean, we and we left ourselves exposed. And then the Southampton game was an odd one in terms. I think when you look at the expected goals for that game, I think it was I think our expected goals was just under 3, and Southampton's was about 0.86. and obviously it was 4-3. And it was ridiculous because obviously you had a header from a cross from a free kick from Ward-Prowse, 2 almost identical Ward-Prowse free kicks, and then a Danny Ings stunner. So in terms of obviously goals, Martinez didn't have a chance of any of them, but it was naive mistakes from us to give away free kicks in those positions, and it was kind of giving away those fouls was almost like, I suppose they were like professional fouls. If we don't make the challenge there, one of them was a handball, but if we don't make that challenge there or make that foul there, then they're through on goal. So I suppose that kind of almost puts that kind of XG theory aside slightly, because I think if we didn't make the foul or make the handball, then they're through on goal, and then obviously the chance of scoring a goal is massive compared to a free kick 25 yards out. But against Arsenal, I was anticipating a defeat, to be honest, because obviously we'd had those 2 games. Our record against Arsenal isn't great, home or away. I think we've got two wins against them in 11 years. It's not as bad as
the game of the season 3-1 at their place. I remember a few years ago you had 3-1.
2013, I think that was. That's the last time we beat them at their place. So that's 7 years.
Oh, hello.
Hiya.
Say hello.
Hello.
Hiya.
She just came back from her dad, so she came to say hello.
Hello.
Now go away.
Oh, no, bless.
Yeah.
I just like when he does that.
He does it every week, doesn't he? Every week, see that. Mute, camera gone.
Yeah.
I wasn't, because our record hasn't been great. I wasn't expecting anything, but it was. We kind of said after the game. A lot of people said it was kind of in some ways a more complete performance than the Liverpool game, because they had Arsenal had a couple of chances. I think Lacazette had a good header. They had a couple of half chances, but apart from that, we created a lot of good chances. Took our goals really well. There was a time in the second half when we were getting forward, and you kind of almost thought that with every attack we could have scored. And they had, I think they cleared one off the line. They had a couple of last-ditch challenges as well. It could have easily been 5-0, but to get that win, obviously after those 2 defeats, was massive. And it just kind of, it was good to get. I think Ross Barkley was poor against Leeds and Southampton. It was good for him to come back, a bit of form. Grealish was fantastic as usual. Good to get Ollie Watkins in amongst the goals. I think that's 6 Premier League goals this season, which is pretty good. 6 and 7. So
Can I ask Chris a question?
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't ask you this on the first time we had you on, but as a Chelsea man, I have to ask you: what do you think John Terry plays a big role, and do you think he could be a future full-on head coach at a football team?
I think he can. In terms of with us, what a lot of people kind of say is last season until lockdown, our defence was horrendous. I think by the end of the season, we'd conceded 67 goals, which is second most in the league behind Norwich, who obviously finished rock bottom. We did improve post-lockdown, but overall defensively we weren't great. A lot of people say, what is John Terry doing? But John Terry is assistant manager. He's not necessarily our defensive coach. Now, I think they all kind of take it in terms of we've got a manager, 2 assistant managers that are all ex-defenders. So they have an input on us defensively. I think John Terry, there's no denying his impact on football and his influence on players. I think, forget the off the field kind of blemishes. He's got to be one of the most influential players that have played in the Premier League. Certainly in the last 10 years. I don't think there's many more influential than him. So I think being a manager, I think going forward he could probably be. I say it's not a massive thing to say, but he probably could be better than Frank Lampard.
Yeah, I think I was quite surprised actually that this season that he stayed. I honestly thought he'd have joined his mate Frank at Chelsea. I thought see the season out with Villa and then go ahead. But he stayed with Villa. He's loyal to me.
Lampard and Jody Morris are extremely close, and Jody Morris, when Lampard was hired, given the transfer ban and stuff, he was the perfect fit. And I don't think John Terry was ever going to come to Chelsea, because I think it's better for him to be at Villa. I think it's better for him to be at Villa to get a head coach role than to be hiding behind Frank Lampard the whole time. Yeah. Also, do you think, because if I'm not mistaken, you also have Craig Shakespeare now? Sure, he joins you from Watford. Do you think he's played a big part in the way you are too, because he's an experienced coach, and obviously, if you look what he did out with Nigel Pearson at Watford, you see similarities between what Watford did and what Villa do.
Yeah, I mean, because he's a bit more of a progressive coach, so in terms of an attacking coach. So when you look at, I know just because they're ex-defenders doesn't mean that they're all about defence, but John Terry, Richard O'Kelly, Dean Smith, they're all ex-defenders, so they've probably got, I say, a bit more experience defensively. But Craig Shakespeare, he's more of an attacking coach, and I think you can kind of see that from the way we play this season, especially the Arsenal game. There was a real tactical approach about it, and about the Liverpool game as well, I think, in terms of being able to exploit weaknesses in the Liverpool side and get up there in numbers. Last season, so many times the ball either went forward to Wesley, or you've got Jack Grealish running down the left wing and there's no one within 20 yards of him. This season, almost every game you've got players in and around the box, and they always have options. And I think that's from Craig Shakespeare and the way that he likes to play in terms of getting players forward. And it's a nice addition to what the other guys have done, in all fairness. So I think the balance works. He's a Villa fan as well, which I don't really know if that makes much of a difference, but it's just nice to have a lot of Villa fans involved in the club. Villa fan as a manager, assistant manager, and Craig Shakespeare, captain. So it's all good at the moment, but as most Villa fans probably agree, we're just waiting for the collapse.
Chris, I think for me, last season, I said, because I've got a lot of friends that are Villa fans, because I'm obviously in the area where the catchment area of the Midlands. I think last season it was the main purpose was just stay up, wasn't it? Just stay up, and then we can move forward. Then we can start bringing the players in. Now we're an established team. And Villa, I was gutted for you guys when you went down, because Villa aren't a Championship club. They're a Premier League club. They've always been a Premier League in my eyes.
Yeah.
It was always about staying up by any means necessary. And last season, you did it. I said you'd stay up last season. I honestly thought West Ham would have gone down last season, but they stayed up too. But it's showing now. Dean Smith, that everyone said about Dean Smith, right? Okay, they've stayed up. What will he do now? And he's brought fantastically in the transfer market. I think you've had one of the best windows out of the Premier League. Martinez, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I honestly said you were not going to lose against Arsenal. He was not going to concede a goal against Arsenal, because he was up for it. I mean, you go from winning an FA Cup for your team and also the Community Shield to then get sold and get told Leno's going to be our number one. It was going to be a win for Villa for me. I think he's brilliant.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing with me, is that Arsenal let go of Martinez, where I reckon that Martinez was probably a number one in waiting at Arsenal. I just think Aston Villa have got a great team now. You look at that spine of the team. You've got Martinez, you've got Tyrone Mings, you've got Konza, and then you've got a midfield of Douglas Luiz, John McGinn, Ross Barkley, and then you've got Grealish, Trezeguet, and Ollie Watkins. It's a fantastic team that Aston Villa have really got on. So my question to you now, Chris, you must be confident going into the Brighton game. And secondly, do you think you can aim for a top half finish this season?
I mean, first of all, I've seen mixed kind of opinions on the Brighton game. What surprised me a couple of weeks ago was this season, I think a lot of people have been taken aback about how well Brighton have played, and attacking wise they've looked all right, but I think they're only just above the bottom three with 6 points, 5 or 6 points, so they are struggling. And I think in terms of goals they don't score enough. So I am kind of confident, but in all fairness, when I'm confident of winning, we tend to end up ballsing it up and losing. But being at home against Brighton, we should be getting the 3 points, and I'd kind of hope that we would. In terms of finishing top half, I'm not sure. Obviously, normally I'd have said no. I think most people would have been like what Dan was touching on in terms of last season. It was a case finish 17th, and we did, just about.
Yeah.
We were poor pretty much across the season, but we finished 17th, and that's all we need to do. And I've always said this season, what we need to do now is improve on that. And I think I'd take 16th as long as we weren't struggling towards the end of the season. I think if you like Newcastle last season, Newcastle were towards the bottom. I say towards the bottom. They were always kind of safe, but they were towards the bottom for majority of the season. Like that would be fine. But obviously, because we've had such a good start, the expectation kind of goes up with that, doesn't it? Obviously, we've got 15 points so far. Between now and the end of the year, we've got quite a few reasonable games that are fairly winnable. Obviously, we've got Brighton coming up. We've got West Ham. We've got West Brom. We've got Wolves. Wolves is a tough game, but it is a bit of a derby. So, kind of form goes out the window slightly. I don't think we've got any of the traditional kind of top six, so to speak. So, there's an opportunity for us to get some points. And I said if we can get around 10 points between now and the end of the year, and then we come into January on 25 points, that's massive for us in terms of, I think you come into the new year on 25 points or around 25 points. Yeah. And then it kind of almost allows them to play with a bit more freedom going forward because the pressure's off then, isn't it? I think we were on 27 points last season with about 4 or 5 games to go. So the difference would be massive. And so it depends. It depends. It's big because our running at the end of the season is tough. So this running between now and the end of the year, we've got to be getting at least 3 wins from that.
Your next 5 games: home to Brighton, away to West Ham, home to Newcastle, away to Wolves, and home to Burnley. Yeah.
There's a lot of games there. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if we won any of those games. I also wouldn't be surprised if we lost any of those games. But there's not a lot of, in terms of games that you expect us to lose. There's not a lot there. Possibly Wolves, because obviously they're a good side. They are, they've been probably the best team outside the top 6 over the last 2-3 seasons. I think we could probably just about challenge top 10, but I think anything above top 10 would be phenomenal. I can't see us doing better than maybe 9th or 10th, but happy days if we do, because obviously we struggled for a number of years going down, and we had a couple of poor years in the Championship. So
don't kill me on this, but apparently you've not lost to Brighton since 1980. So I reckon that you should be going.
About 15 then, weren't you, Chris? About 15 then, weren't you, bud?
16, mate.
but I don't think we could all agree on. I think Brighton had been one of the most unluckiest teams so far this season.
They can't score. Cannot score.
We had them. We were fine. United.
You scored after the game finished for the first time in football history I've ever seen that.
It was. I had a notification that came up on my phone on about 3 different apps, full time. Manchester United 2, Brighton 2. I was like, bloody hell, they've got away with that. They've got a point. And then I'm looking later on, and how have they won that? It was full time. What's going on here? Ridiculous.
Yeah, that actually happened to me as well. I had my Fantasy Premier League app open. I had the live score app open, and I had another app open that said Brighton 2, Man United 2. And then another one came up, Brighton 2, Man United 3. I was like,
Talk about live score. They've updated their app, and it's really bad. It's really, really bad.
What's that?
Oh my gosh, that's
not
good.
Really bad.
Oh,
and
dear.
If I can show you this quickly, like if you want to look at all the games, they just give you a list of games. They give you no dates at all. Like there's no way to work out when games are where.
Not helpful, is it?
What are you going then, Chris, for a result then, mate? What are you thinking?
I'm gonna go. I was gonna go stupid and go 4-0, but I'm gonna go 2-1
I've gone 3-1.
2-1.
Villa.
2-1, yeah.
I've gone 2-0. 0-0. Seriously.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm going 2-0. I'm going 2-0 Villa. Let's get on to Dan's team, Manchester United, because they're playing West Brom, looking for their first home victory of the season. I can't believe I'm saying this. Manchester United have not won at home all season. So how are you feeling going into this game against West Brom?
If you lose,
confident.
Yeah, you should be. It's West Brom.
I'm feeling confident for one reason and one reason only. And
It's West Brom.
No. This has happened so many times in Ollie's tenure at Manchester United, and that's that when the odds have been against him and people have said he needs a result now, he comes up and brings the results home. He seems to do it. I remember last season he was 2 games away from getting the sack, and we had Spurs and City, and he goes and gets points against both of them. So yeah. I'm confident he'll get a result against West Brom. Yep. I'm fairly confident with
that. Doug, would you agree with me though? If Solskjaer was under pressure or not, he really should be beating West Brom.
Yes, I mean, honestly,
but they only drew 3-3, didn't they? So
I know, but we were bad then. You're at Old Trafford. You know?
It was 4 games ago.
Yeah, but you're at Old Trafford, and they haven't won a game since. So, if you're losing to Fulham, you're bad.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. It goes back to what we were saying about Lampard. For me, head and heart. Your heart says you want Ollie to perform, you want Ollie to win, you want Ollie to lift a trophy with United. I don't think he is the right man. I think the problem you've got with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is he's in the dream job, so he's not going to come out and slate the ball for terrible business, which you wouldn't. Josh, if you got the Chelsea job, and they didn't sign a single player thereafter, you wouldn't moan because you're in.
No, I would, because I would have cap on that.
Keep cap. But that's the thing, he won't moan. The transfer business United did at the start of the season was just absolutely diabolical, to the point where we signed Cavani on deadline day when he'd been a free transfer for 3 months, and then the irony of that was then because of the whole COVID situation, we signed him and he can't actually play in the squad because he's not in the bubble. So we not only signed a free player who's 106 years old, but he can't play in the fixture. So it's been a struggle. But as I said, United, I see them comfortably in West Brom.
Going to ask you this question that I think. Oh, when did Twitter have stories? Okay. my phone literally just updated to stories on Twitter now. I'm like, what the is? Okay, that's absolutely. Anyway, sorry. My question is to you, Dan. This is the question that I will ask every Manchester United fan that comes on. And Chris decided to come back with his whole dinner in his mouth. Actually, look at him. So, my question, Dan, this is the question I will ask every Manchester United fan that comes on here. Are the Glazers the big problem at Man United?
Oh, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. You're talking about a team, biggest club in the world. I still believe that. I still back the fact they are the biggest globally. They're iconic. You can go to the darkest, deepest Tanzania, and you'll find a kid running around with a Man United shirt on. It's as simple as that. The issue you've got is the Glazers won't. They won't release the purse strings. Now, they've taken out in dividends over the last few years millions and millions of clubs. The only other club who's done that is actually West Brom, funnily enough. You've got a bloke who's involved in the transfers in Ed Woodward. Now, Ed Woodward, as a marketing man, fantastic. Makes us so much money, but as a football person, he's lacking. Now this is where recently I've heard the story that Mark Overmars and Edwin van der Sar are thinking their time's up at Ajax. I'd pay anything to get them. I'd bring them in because we need someone there to help Ollie, because Ollie's not being backed for the players he wants. There's no way he's being backed for the players he wants. I'll argue that with anybody. Wan-Bissaka, was he an Ollie player? I don't think he was an Ollie player for 1 minute. Maguire, we've been linked with Maguire for 3 years previous. Bruno Fernandes, I think that was for the fans because the fans wanted Bruno 6 months. I don't think Ollie had any. It was nothing to do with Ollie that. And then Ollie wants Sancho. Now we all know it was no secret Sancho was going to be a Man United player all the way through the summer. Well, he's at Dortmund now, isn't he? He's not come over. But the fact of the matter is, They don't back the managers. They never have done, and it's showing now. Now, if I was Ollie, honestly, I'd hang him out to dry. But as I said, he's in his dream job. He's never ever going to badmouth him, and it shows on the field.
No, there was a thing from you probably know Mark Goldbridge, I'm sure, because as
I absolutely love that bloke. Absolutely. You bloody prat! You bloody prat.
I want to hear Doug's opinion on this too. He said yesterday that there was big links coming from Barcelona and Real Madrid that are going for Bruno Fernandes in the summer. Do you know, in your short time of probably hearing about this, is there anything in it, or is this the media being the media?
It's not going anywhere, mate. For the simple fact, Barcelona are at the moment they're trying to sell everybody from players to their own bloody tea lady to raise money, and Madrid are in the same bloody position. They've not got the money. If Madrid had the money and Barcelona had the money, right, then why were Barcelona struggling to pay 30 million for Depay in the summer? If they're struggling to pay 30 million for Depay, in hell they're going to be able to spend. And also, do you honestly believe Fernandes is going to leave United for less than 70 million? There's no way in hell. No way.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Bruno Fernandes will definitely be staying at the end of the season. There's no way he's going to Barcelona. Barcelona couldn't even afford Gini Van Elden, for goodness sake. They've had to let go of so many players. So no way. What are you going for in this game, Dan?
4-0.
4-0 West Brom.
4-0. Definitely.
I'd love a Man United win 4-0 because where I live, obviously I'm not too far from Villa Park, but I'm probably closer to Wolverhampton and West Brom fans. So where I live, it's mainly Wolves and West Brom. And I just cannot stand West Bromwich Albion fans. And two of my good friends are West Brom fans, and when they talk football, I literally want to kill them. It's just a joke. So they would, I'd love to see Man United batter them 4-0. So I'm going to be cheering them on all the way with you, Dan.
I have a really good question for all of us here. This is a good question for the end on the Premier League topic. I think Doug will answer this one very well. So I'll let Doug answer this. So, has Stephen Ballack been left out to dry by the West Brom board? Has he been given an impossible job to keep that squad up in the Premier League?
Yes.
Without being back in any shit way or form?
Absolutely. I'm surprised Slaven Bilic is still there, to be honest. I'm actually surprised he's still there. The fact that you can sell Ahmed Higazi behind his back when he was man of the match against Burnley baffled, I think, everybody in the football community. Like, why on earth would you let him go? He's probably your best centre back as well. So for him to have that done to him, I don't think he was back, to be honest. I honestly don't think he was back. So yeah, I'm going to go for Manchester United. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win. You cannot trust that Manchester United backline. I'm sorry to say, Dan, but you cannot trust that backline. So I'm going to go
against Iceland. He was incredible.
Did you see his heat map? You see Maguire's heat map?
The what?
Maguire's heat map
against Iceland.
Yeah.
No.
So look at him bombing down the
That's incredible. Do you know what? He suffered last season for the main point. He was played in every game. He was never given a.
I think he only missed 4 games or something like that.
He played 55 games for Manchester United in all competitions last season.
And one of those games he did not play in was, I think, you were away to that team from Pakistan or something. When Solskjaer played the kids, and Lee Grant was in that.
Oh, Astana, Astana.
And Lee Grant was in that. So I think one of the games he didn't play in. So
yeah. I suppose we have to move on, and let's talk about Liverpool-Leicester, because wow, this is injury hit.
Doug, before you continue, sorry, mate, can we all just have 2 minutes, please, of silence for Liverpool, because all those players, it's and also please just send as much love as you can to Virgil van Dijk, because oh my God.
Yeah, Doug, as a Liverpool fan, you have to be ashamed of people who were saying to have a minute silence for Van Dijk's injury. It happens.
Yeah.
And
look, I am absolutely astounded that Sky haven't actually brought onto the fact that Leicester have injuries as well. Focus on both teams. Focus on both teams. Liverpool have got injuries. Yeah, fair enough. But look at Leicester's injuries. Leicester has so many injuries as well. So this is going to be injury hit Liverpool against injury hit Leicester City. This could be any score. But I'm actually worried about this game because I actually think Leicester City are capable of going to Anfield and getting a result. We saw what they did against Manchester City. They absolutely smashed them to pieces. So, but I'm going to back Liverpool, of course. I do think we will win this one, but it will not be an easy game, and especially with the players that we've got out injured. I believe Fabinho and Thiago were pictured at the new training ground today, so that gives me confidence as well. Alisson and Firmino have returned unscathed as well, so I think we'll be fine. I've gone for 2-1. I do think Leicester City will score because Jamie Vardy loves a goal against Liverpool. Let's just say that now. So I've gone for 2-1 Liverpool for this one.
Doug, the way we were just we joke about you being playing centre half and all, and real, you might actually probably need to get your boots on at centre back at this rate.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, funnily enough, someone actually asked me at work the other day, "What height are you?" And I think it came to the surprise when I said 6'5" because they were like, "What?" You're you're like
you both, brother.
Hey,
I'll get me boots on. We'll go and sort it, mate. We'll go and sort it.
But yeah, I'm going to back Liverpool. Let's go to probably the other game of the weekend for me, and that is Tottenham against Manchester City. Now, the big news for Manchester City fans is that Pep Guardiola has signed on for an extra 2 years. Now, this came as a big surprise to me because I thought he was going to go at the end of the season. I mean, Chris, what did you make of this news when Guardiola signed a new contract?
I wouldn't say I was majorly surprised because there was, it seemed like the back end of last season, it was kind of will he, won't he stay? And then obviously he stayed for this season. So I didn't expect him to go anytime soon, stay to the end of the season. The thing is, I think, Pep, okay, obviously he undoubtedly is one of the best managers at the moment. The kind of style of football that he's got playing, he's done really well. I think it kind of makes me laugh when he moans about injuries and all that kind of stuff. And you think, it's almost every week. I say every week. Every window he's signing a 20, 40, 50, 60 million pound defender.
Yeah.
But then we never seem to have any fit defenders.
Yeah.
And there is that argument. I know they've all done it, but there is that argument in terms of, especially at Man City, the amount of money he has spent.
Yeah.
So I wasn't surprised because I think, in all fairness, I can't see where he would be going next. He's managed I think Bayern Munich are probably the best club in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
You'd probably say Liverpool and Man City are the next ones behind. Obviously, he's at Man City. He's not going to go anywhere else in England. He's been to Bayern. Barca. There, I think I could see him going back to Barca in terms of that. There's like a romantic kind of thing about it, but not anytime soon because, as we mentioned before, you've all kind of mentioned about the financial mess that Barca are in. Also, they're in a bit of, they're going for a bit of a rebuild, aren't they? In all fairness, they're kind of nowhere near how they were. And I think, Pep would need to be spending a hell of a lot of money to get them going. So I think financially, Man City are probably the best bet for him. And there really isn't anywhere, unless he's going to surprise us and go and have a big challenge and take over, a lower standard of club, then there's nowhere else for him to go realistically. So it was a case of, I just couldn't see him going anywhere really.
And in my opinion, he'll take over from a Luis Enrique off the Spanish national team in a few years' time. When that team finishes, when Luis Enrique's rebuilding that team, when I think it reaches its prime, I think Pep Guardiola will take them over.
For me, I think him signing that 2-year contract has just solidified and cemented for me that Messi will go there next season. I honestly think Messi will be there next season. I mean, now he's signed that extension. I think Messi will be there for 2 years. You'll get a year at least out of him there, I reckon.
I mean, for us, fans of the Premier League, to see Messi playing. I think Messi would probably, he'd love a new challenge, wouldn't he? Really, it's especially Barcelona. He's kind of, he's kind of simultaneously the hero, the go-to guy, and also the fall guy. If things aren't going right, they go to Messi. If he can't get them out of the mess, then he's the reason why. It's like, so I think he's not really happy there, and he pretty much said that, didn't he, in the summer? I think going back to what I said in terms of financially, there's not really a lot of clubs, especially now. Let alone aside from the COVID situation, but now financially, there's not a lot of clubs that are going to be able to afford Messi. So
three, I think, in England, the three being City, United, and probably Chelsea. I think Chelsea would throw the money at him, but I don't think I agree. I don't see him Bayern Munich. I don't think he'd go there. Can you see him, Chris, going by him? I can't see him going there at all. Can't see him going to Italy. I don't think Italy interests him. I know that he's always said he'll retire at is it Newell's Old Boys?
Newell's Old Boys, yeah,
he'll finish his career there. So I think we'll see him for a season. I think we'll get him.
Did Argentina? I know this is a random comment, but on Messi, did Argentina not lose to Peru or something there a couple of days ago?
Doesn't surprise me.
Hi. Can we? I know Messi. I know. But why is my laptop screen like really? I know Messi is a great professional, but why? I think if I was him, I would just give up with Argentina and move on. Because
I don't think he is a fantastic professional, Josh. I've seen so many videos of him getting away with screaming at referees, spitting in the direction of people, kicking out of people, and I think if Ronaldo does this, he gets absolutely battered for it. Messi, because there's just this feeling he's the messiah of football. Honestly, he gets away with so much. Remember when he got sent off against Chile when Vidal was it Vidal turned around and they both squared up against each other?
Yes.
That was Messi having a little niggle and not realizing he's coming back at me. I think Messi gets away with far too much in football because of who he is.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think there's that. It's almost like they judged them wrong in terms of. I mean, obviously, I don't know them, but in terms of Messi and Ronaldo, it's like people judge Ronaldo as the arrogant one and Messi's more laid back. But I get a feeling it's opposite in terms of you look at the dedication that Cristiano Ronaldo's gone through to prolong his career, to play at the level that he has done for how many years. He's fit as a fiddle, which is going to prolong it. Whereas I feel like Messi slowed. Obviously, Ronaldo has slowed down, but I feel like Messi's decline has been. It's sad talking about these guys in terms of decline because they're still at the top, but his decline has probably been a bit greater than Ronaldo's. Yeah, I think Ronaldo is a credit to himself. I think Rio Ferdinand said, and this is going back to when he was at Man United. He said he went to his house and he was just forever bumping into different people because he's got a dietitian, physio there, and he's got a cook, and he's got all these people because every minute detail he wants bang on because he's dedicated to the cause. I don't kind of get that with Messi, so.
With Messi, he's like you're so right. He's on the decline, and he plays in one certain position now. Ronaldo, the physique of Ronaldo, he'll play for another 3 or 4 years as a big, strong centre forward now that can hold the ball up. I mean, the guy can jump as high as a house. It's ridiculous. But when he come back from lockdown, his physical condition was that of a 28-year-old's.
His fitness is incredible.
It's
incredible. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Messi started on the bench in Barcelona's last game because he wasn't fit enough to play. So that shows a difference.
Well, Barcelona.
Didn't Alex McLeish
many years
spotted him on Football Manager when he was like 17 and said, "Dad, you've got to get him. He's quality."
Yeah. 2004 that was. But yeah, I mean, like Barcelona are yeah, well, we know they're up shit creek anyway. So, going back to this game, it's a big game because Tottenham did beat Manchester City last season. Dan, I'll come to you first for this one. What's your prediction for that game?
I've gone 2-2, mate. I know it sounds a bit boring, but I've gone 2-2. I was going to go with a Spurs win because I know Mourinho loves to get one over Pep, but I just feel this has got a 2-2 written all over it. By the way, Spurs. I laughed about Spurs at the start of the season when they lost against Everton. I said, "Same old Spurs. That's it. Jose's finished." He's proved me wrong. Jesus Christ! Yeah. But it proves because the players he wanted in the transfer market, they've gone out and they've got. They're Mourinho players, and they're reaping the rewards. I firmly believe he's going to have a very successful season with Spurs. As much as it pains
the fact Daniel left, he spent more money more than United, and that was during a pandemic when he never spent money in the first place.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree.
Yeah, have you watched? Have you seen the All or Nothing?
Mate, obviously I won't say the exact words, but when
it was when he turned the TV off. When he first joined the club, that was amazing.
The best memory for me was actually Spurs against City last season. Do you remember when Sterling goes down and he sits down, he's laughing at it, and his assistant says, "It's a second yellow, that is." And he drinks his water and he's gone. Yeah. Box office Mourinho.
Just on a random comment, I was looking at this literally just before the podcast began. Spurs are releasing an executive interview with Jose Mourinho about how, and it's about 5 tips on Instagram. They released some highlights about it. It was absolutely amazing. It was so good. He was asked at the end, "Why should people follow you?" And she said, "I have no idea."
Yeah. You know what? It reminds me of like when your dad goes onto Facebook for the first time and you look at the stuff he puts and you think, "Oh, Dad, you don't need to be putting that, mate." The stuff he puts on there is just spot on. I love the bloke. What's the Premier League needs a Mourinho? I don't care what anyone says.
You know what you mentioned earlier? You mentioned earlier about the kind of Ronaldo Messi thing. I feel the kind of same with like Mourinho and Pep.
Yeah.
I feel like anything Mourinho says, the pressure straight on him. But I think he's. I've always thought he's fantastic. I don't think he gets enough credit. People go on about his tactics and stuff like that now, but I just think when you look at obviously Manchester United, he did spend money. Everyone spends money at Manchester United. Did he really get the team that he wanted?
You know what, Chris? The thing is, mate. If you look back through the managers, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Oli now, Moyes, for Christ's sake. We spend money, but it's never the manager's players that they want. Yeah. It's Woodward going out and getting that big name player. You know what I mean?
I think that's the thing with the likes of Mourinho. He's so intricate about everything he wants that the player that he wants for a particular position is key to how he wants the team to play. Yeah. So if he doesn't, which would have been the case at Manchester United, and I think was the case at times last season for Spurs, I say at times, in January last season for Spurs, if you don't get the right player, then you can't play the way you want to. And I think that's sometimes been what goes against Mourinho, because what he's done then is because he can't play the way he wants to play, he goes a bit more negative. And I don't think it's a case of, Steve Bruce negative, which sometimes people try to tarnish him with. I think it's just a case of that he's very tactical, but I love the bloke. He's
spot on, mate. That Newcastle game when the penalty come at the end and they said, "What are your thoughts?" and he said, "I prefer to give my money to charity, not to the FA." I was like,
one of the first things he said to the Spurs players is only all or nothing is, I think is that you need to stop being so soft. You need to be bastards.
Yeah. Well, I think it was another word, wasn't it? I think it was another word.
He said, "No one likes a nice guy. They only want to, empty." I look at this.
Well,
it's brilliant. I loved watching it. I thought it was brilliant. I think he came across really well.
Yeah.
Daniel Levy comes across like a bit of a weirdo, but I think Mourinho comes across really well. And he just kind of reflects what I kind of thought about him, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's just brilliant. But when you look at Spurs, I mean, some of the games this season they've been brilliant, and what he has done is he's played to their strengths. He's got Harry Kane playing a bit deeper because Harry Kane's always had that in his locker, the passing range. And in theory, when you think about it, it makes perfect sense because he's always got two quick guys either side of him.
Son is just something else, isn't he?
Son and Kane.
When they absolutely destroyed us 6-1. I remember driving, my phone's there, driving from York, and it goes ting, and I was like, 1-0. Nice one, Bruno. Spot on. And then we stopped at the services, and I went in, had a number one, come back out with my drink. I went, oh, yeah, I was livid. I nearly drove us off the motorway. I was livid.
What do you call it? Here's a good question for Dan. So obviously Mourinho was obviously very unhappy with the Glazers and Woodward. I think it was so clear. I think even from pre-season, I think everyone knew it was a matter of time until he was sacked last season. Do you think he had a wee smile on his face when he hammered you at Old Trafford?
Well, I think anyone would, wouldn't they? I mean, Christ Almighty, you're not just let down. He wasn't just let down by the players. I mean, look, let's have this right. Towards the end, it did get poisonous. It was a marriage that turned sour, and the divorce papers were in the post. Simple as that. But when you come back to a team that sacked you and you absolutely destroy them 6-1. It's the best thing in the world, isn't it? It's like being dumped by you and turning up at the pub with an absolute stunner, isn't it? It's as simple as that.
Can I just say, Son and Kane partnership is absolutely magnificent, and that is the reason. That is the reason that I think that Tottenham could get something out of this game. But funnily enough, I've actually gone for a Man City win. I don't know why. I've just got a feeling that Man City will better that result from last season.
Doug, you completely just contradicted yourself there. And number two, I think Spurs are CDM away from being title contenders.
Yeah, I agree with that one, Josh. I had this conversation with someone the other day, and you look at their midfield, which I suppose what they've been playing recently is Sissoko, Ndombele, and Højbjerg. And Højbjerg's been excellent. He's kind of what they're missing in terms of he presses in the right areas, and he sets the tempo in terms of the kind of defensive unit and turning defence into attack. But at the same time, there's no one who's going to break up the play and kind of be a proper ball winner in front of the back four. And I think, Ndombele likes to play a bit further forward. Sissoko, by trade, plays a bit further forward as well. So
there's one person that plays in the Premier League that's versatile, that will fit into a position like that, give you everything. Sometimes overlooked by a lot of people, and that's probably Phil Jones. Phil Jones will sit CDM. He'll give you everything. The facial expressions that he has there, it's fantastic. That is the person that is going to win Premier League.
Just on that note, those with the facial expressions will probably make teams run in the other direction. I guess you're wrong.
I think you're right. I think Spurs are a CDM away from doing it. I think that the quality they've got in that squad now, it's all about not just having the player in the first 11 position there to win the game for you. Nowadays, it's what you've got that can come off and win it for you as well. They've got that.
Honestly, I hate to say it, but the honest truth is that Harry Kane is the perfect Jose Mourinho striker.
Yeah.
If Mourinho goes long ball, and I think he will against City to beat the press, I can't see Mourinho. You can't see Mourinho on the pitch against City. To get this first team ready with 3 days ahead of City. We're going to play tick-attack of football. We're going to play for the bag. It's going to go Eric Dyer and Tony Alderweireld. Boom, Harry Kane.
And who else this season's turning it round for me last season? I thought, what a bag of shit he was. Is Ndombele? I can't say.
He was poor last season, wasn't he?
Really? He was awful.
I actually remember him at Burnley, and he got really criticised. I think it was by Jamie Carragher that he was very lazy.
He was walking, wasn't he? He was walking.
I think Chris will notice. So if you look at the documentary, he was struggling personally a lot to adjust to the Premier League. Yeah. So it looks like he's got over those problems.
I think that's one thing that a lot of people, and I think everyone's guilty of it. Football fans. Football fans will slate a player, especially a new signing, if they're not quite up to speed and performances aren't great. But I think you sometimes you've got to take a step back and think, you know what, we've got this guy here. I use Wesley at Villa, for example. He got slated a lot of for last season until he got injured. And you got to think, he's 22. He's from Brazil. He'd been playing in Belgium.
Yeah.
And then he's brought across to England, not just England, but he's in the Midlands. And I think you got to take all that. He doesn't speak the language. He can't understand Brummies. It's a completely different team. It's a completely different manager. There's so many things to take into consideration. And then all the fans are just slating him. You just think like.
Do you know, for me, Chris, there was a player that did that who come to United who struggled to get it, and I backed him. I loved him, and he stayed with us for 2 seasons and went on and just was incredible. It was Diego Forlan. Didn't really get time to adapt to the Premier League. Scored against Villa, I think, actually, didn't he? I think his first goal in the Premier League was against Villa.
Yeah. Scored against us as well.
Scored against, Uruguay. He made the Scouts to try. But you're right. These players that come over, and I don't think they get afforded the time to really adapt to the Premier League. Because look, living in England is tough as it is. Adapting to the Premier League, which is such a fast-paced game, it's tough for these, especially South Americans. A lot of them come over and struggle with the pace of it.
And the non-league football's better than the French league too.
Definitely.
Thank you. That league is a farmers' league. So, very, very quickly, I've gone for Everton to beat Fulham this weekend. I've gone for West Ham. I've gone for West Ham to beat Sheffield United because Sheffield United are probably the most disappointing.
I think Sheffield United are going to get their first win. I do,
in my opinion.
I've gone Sheffield United. I think they're going to get the win.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've gone. I think I'll get a win. 1-0. I've gone.
Ooh, interesting. Leeds Arsenal for some. Sorry, Josh, continue.
No, I was just going to read my predictions, but you finish off.
All right. I've actually gone for Arsenal to win 3-1 against Leeds. I don't know why. I've just got a feeling Arsenal will win away. But I do believe, I don't know if anyone saw, David Luiz and Danny Ceballos had a bust up in training today.
Ceballos actually retweeted that, Luke, saying it was fake. So.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
God knows.
Oh, really? Ah, okay.
Yeah.
It was reported by, was it
I've gone for Crystal Palace.
This is where the delay kicks in.
Yeah.
Don't take 10 seconds behind us. Look at his face when we're talking. He's like 10 seconds behind us. Doug's like, what?
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, the geezer from the Athletic, who's apparently the guy who's up to date with everything Arsenal.
Oh, he's paid it out, that bloke. He's always he gets it.
Yeah, so he's a knob. I've seen his stuff and he posts it. And I think he's a knob, but he posted it and then Sebastian was like fake. And you're like, yeah, see you later, mate.
Yeah,
so
I think we will beat Newcastle. I think Aston Villa and Brighton will be in the leach. I think Spurs will beat City. United will draw 1 each with West Brom. I don't know why, but I'm getting controversial. I think Fulham and Everton will be a draw. West Ham will beat Sheffield United. Leeds will get a draw against Arsenal, and Leicester will beat Liverpool.
I'm not sure about that.
To be honest with you, Josh. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be too surprised if Leicester do become the first team to beat us at Anfield, but. Yeah.
I think Burnley and Crystal Palace has a nearly treating all over. That's a snooze fest. I think it'll be the biggest snooze fest.
No. I totally disagree with you. I've gone 3-0 Crystal Palace. Burnley looks finished for me.
Yeah.
You think they're going down?
I think Burnley are going down.
Burnley are my we'll get on to the disappointing teams in a minute, but I think Burnley will struggle. I do think Burnley will struggle.
Yeah, and the other one is Wolves, Southampton. I've gone for a 1-1 draw because those two always seem to play out a draw for some reason.
You see that Southampton manager, Ralph Hassan
Hutel.
Hassan Hutel, yeah.
I'd have him at United. I love him. I think he's such a great coach.
I love his character. I would
Yeah.
love to see. I would love to see. I would love to see an all or nothing with him in the change. He looks like a really fun guy to be around.
I'll tell you what, he is really, really developing James Ward-Prowse, isn't he?
Oh,
Ward-Prowse
Dan,
is becoming a fantastic.
Here's a question for you, Dan. I said this last week. I want to hear your opinion on it. And I'll ask Chris whenever he comes back from stuffing his face again. Do you think Hassan Hutel has rejuvenized a 4-4-2? Do you think he's made it a modern, better compared to what a Sean Dyche or even a Roy Hodgson does with it?
Yeah, I think he has. But the thing is, as well, is he's got the players in that squad to be able to do that. Whereas Burnley are so rigid, aren't they? I mean, imagine them trying to play a 3-5-2 or a 4-3-3. I just can't see it. They're too rigid in what they do. Whereas I can't even say his bloody name. I'm going to say Big Ralph. Big Ralph. Big Ralph. The players he's got in that squad, they're so interchangeable in their positions that 4-4-2 so many times throughout the game can switch up so easily. So I do think he's rejuvenated, but I think because of the players he's got, it's a lot easier for him to be able to change it.
Yeah. So as we're on the subject of most disappointing Premier League teams, I'll start with mine. Burnley. I think they've been really disappointing. Sheffield United are another one for me. So they'd be my two. Josh, who's your most disappointing team?
Being Josh, and the same, and first he's my feisty moods. I'm going to go with a classic Josh opinion. You know, I need to keep the trend going here. My most disappointing team this season, and I feel like a couple of eyes will probably rise to this, but I'm going to go Wolves.
Really?
I think Wolves should be in. If you look at the Premier League where Leicester are top and Southampton are fourth and Villa are sixth, you should say Wolves have a disappointing season when they could probably be up there in the place of a Villa or a Southampton.
I don't know. I think Wolves have done quite well this season. I think the players they've brought in, they've got to. Again, we go with the whole. They've got to adapt, and I think the fixtures they've had haven't been too kind in some occasions. But I think they're all right. I think they're doing all right.
But and the only reason I'm saying that and not Burnley is that I don't do all say Burnley. Then it's just kind of a simple. It's Burnley, yeah.
Do you know, it's not even because they're bottom. I just think there's a lot of trouble at Burnley. Like Tarkowski saying he's not going to sign a new contract. That's a massive blow for there. I just feel like perhaps at the end, I think he's taken Burnley just too far. I think he's as far as he can go with Burnley now. I think he should have left.
On 2 points, I'm not saying Sheffield United because I expected Sheffield United to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Because last year, not too many clubs around that area really got strengthened too much. This time they have, and Sheffield United are in a situation that we thought they were going to be last year. And the second thing, Sean Dyche is I don't think Sean Dyche was really backed at all. You know,
no, he never is.
I'm sure you two both remember a lot, especially just after Project Restart, as they said it was. There was a lot of talk about disagreements between Sean Dyche and the board members because players were not signing contract extensions beyond the 30th of June towards the end of the season, and he was I think the last few games he's had a lot of under-21s on the bench, and he's not one guy to use the youth. You know, he's not been able to make any games at all. So it's. Do you think he'll be sacked, Lou?
Nah, I can't see. I think he'll walk before he's sacked. I don't think they can. I mean, who's going to come in and do a better job? That's the other situation. Who's going to come in and do a better job than Sean Dyche? I just feel like he should have gone at the end of the season. Alan Podge, Alan Kirbishley. He always gets a mention.
Big Sam, he needs a job.
Big Sam, yeah, Christ,
I'm actually surprised he hasn't had a job in a while. To be honest.
God, no.
Sol
Campbell, he'll do a job.
Doug, imagine. I suppose when this bloody delay. I'll let Doug finish.
I suppose the one thing you can say though is that Tony Pulis is back in management. He's back at Sheffield Wednesday.
His football is the worst of the worst. Like his football is really bad.
Gets the job done though. Does get the job done.
Aye, it does.
Oh.
Am I allowed to say Manchester United have disappointed me? Or am I being a bit harsh, Dan?
For fans on the outside, you could. For fans at United, we kind of expected it. We didn't expect to be anywhere near the top four after the whole ridiculousness of the transfer.
Well,
We were nowhere near.
I just seen something there from Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland has officially went into full lockdown for 2 weeks.
Oh dear!
Breaking news: we've just went into full lockdown, except schools are staying open.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Is there any other disappointing teams that we could put in there?
I'll be back in 2 seconds.
I went with Burnley, and I think I'll stick with Burnley. The thing is, Doug, this season it's not the same football season as we're used to. We saw that with the football resuming, after the lockdown, because the fans aren't in the stadiums. Teams are playing away, and they're playing with no fear whatsoever. And I think that the home teams you see it. Sometimes when you're struggling for any consistency, the fans can really pull you through and really give you that second wind. And a lot of teams, because they've not got that, are really struggling with that at the moment. So I think the disappointing side of it is I think the fact that a lot of teams are nowhere near the consistency they'd want to be. I mean, who would have said that Liverpool would have lost 7-2? Who would have said United would have lost 6-1?
Yeah.
There's strange results all the way through this league.
It's definitely a strange season. I totally agree. I don't think anyone would have expected, Villa to beat Liverpool 7-2, sorry, or United to lose 6-1 at home, and that's not the first time that's happened as well. That was against Man City, and I think the 2011-2012 season, if I seem to remember. Okay, that's disappointing. Who's been your most surprising team that's done well this season?
Most surprising for me, I suppose, would be Villa. I think it would be the Villa. I think Villa have, like we spoke about before, have built on staying up last season. They've brought in the right players, and Chris touched on it before, because they've upgraded that team a little bit. It's allowed people like Jack Grealish to be able to take more risks in games and be able to control and pull the strings from midfield. So I think they've had a fantastic season. They've been a really welcome surprise, I think, for the season.
Yeah, Josh, who's your surprise for the season so far?
I'm gonna stick with Southampton, because, as you remember, I picked them as my surprise package. So I'm going to stay with my consistent package, and I'm going to say Southampton.
Southampton, very interesting. Yeah. Going on to the fact that this has been a big topic that has been discussed recently, is the 5 subs rule. Now, Dan, I know obviously me and you support Man United and Liverpool, and obviously Josh supports Chelsea, and Chris supports Villa. What's your thoughts on the 5 subs rule? Do you think it should be brought back into the Premier League?
I think with regards to the 5 sub rule, I'd love to see a 5 subs rule where the rule is you can use the 5 subs, but one of those subs has to be an academy player. I'd love to see a rule like that where these academy lads aren't just getting on the bench and getting the experience of being at a match day or being in the squad. I'd love to see them have that opportunity. As for the 5 subs rule as it goes, I don't see a problem with it, to be honest. I was quite happy with it when it was here before. I don't see a major issue with it. I know people said it favoured the big teams a lot more than the smaller teams, but that's football, isn't it? You're always going to have bigger teams, no matter what division you look at. So I was for it, and I still am. I think I'd like to see the 5 sub rule, come back, but I would love to see the rule be that you have to use an academy player. I think that would be such a good rule to have, to be able to get these young lads into the game a bit more. Josh?
Sorry, what's the question?
The 5 subs rule.
The 5 subs rule is an interesting one. Listen, I just don't think that it should be a thing in the Premier League. As much as I think players have been put into a horrible situation. I think Dan would agree that I think it's ridiculous that the players are being asked to play this much. And the fact that you have this stupid Nations League and
what I don't understand why the Nations League even took part this year. I think they had any time to give the players a break. This was it
UEFA, I know UEFA aren't the smartest people in the world, but they know in their head that the Nation League is used for a friendly competition. Clubs don't take it seriously. And why was there a point of playing the Nations League in this period of time? It is not an essential competition, is it? We can live without the Nations League. So I think the five subs rule would be more if it was introduced, it'd be more from bad organisation from the Premier League, from UEFA, etc. More than it needed to be essential. It was essential when players had to come back after 3 months off, yes. But is it really essential now? Do we need it now? No.
I think kind of like you said though, mate, with the whole playing so much, these international games, like England played Ireland in a friendly that didn't need to happen. It just didn't need to happen.
That's what I'm saying. If the five-sub rule was elemented, it's not because it's needed. The players need to have five-sub. It's because the players needed to be better organisation, so the players had a chance to recover and rest. Because I think what's happening to Liverpool, I don't think to the extent of Liverpool, but I think we'll receive very bad injuries to teams all over. There's more players and teams are going to get COVID-related problems. And I just think I feel like this whole thing with injuries I think this whole thing with making players, whoever decided, was there any simple need to play the Champions League 3 weeks in a row? Was there any real need to do that? And I think you're putting a player, especially at the start of the season too. I think it's just uncalled for.
Look what they were doing for the Carabao Cup. Like first round 1 week. Second round, I think they had the first round in the same week as the Premier League started. Then they had the second week, and then they had the third week, and then the fourth week, and now the fifth round I think is
in December
before Christmas.
We've got United, we've got Everton in it.
Oh, that will not be easy, especially the way that they're playing this season. But to be honest with you, like. I don't get the need of how international teams can play 3 matches a week in that Nations League. I just don't see it.
I also on a small comment, on another comment that the whole thing is that COVID is very simple. Don't travel anywhere. Don't move places. Get international break when you're making players travel countries, and especially when players are going to high risk countries like Germany or Italy. Where's the logic? I think I'm not mistaken. I don't think I'm sarcastic in this, and this includes all the small teams like Gibraltar and San Marino and all. But I think there's been 2,000 cases plus due to international breaks for players and teams, and this includes any league around the world. So you're talking about the smallest of the smallest leagues, but that is 2,000 people who did not have to get COVID.
Yeah, I agree. And also, you got to think the managers must be sending these players away to this international break and thinking, Christ Almighty, just please come back injury free. I mean, Liverpool say, losing Gomez. Was that an underlying injury that was just waiting to come out? We'll never know, will we? We don't know.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, like, Henderson's now injured as well. He did not need to play against Belgium. He did not need to play against Belgium, and this is the thing. Like, players are getting played in these unnecessary friendlies, and there's people getting injured. I mean, you saw Matt Doherty the other day, and there was somebody else from Ireland got COVID because they played England.
Yeah. I'd have gone. Do you know what I'd have done this season? I'd have done away with the Carabao Cup, whatever it's called now, and I'd have done away with the Nations League. I'd have done away with the Nations League because there's just no, especially with how many games we need to get done this season. There's just no, and also remember this as well, guys. They've got to get this season done. The Euros have got to happen in 2021. The World Cup qualifiers have got to happen all before the end of 2021, ready for the World Cup in 2022. Where's the break for the players?
Absolutely mad.
It's incredible.
I know. And you would hope that they would get the season done in May at least.
I'm going to say really something controversial, and I can see Doug probably just looking at me contradictory saying this because we didn't make it to the Euros. Well, I would postpone the Euros again by another year. The players need a break.
You can't, because the World Cup's in 2022.
That's great. I just, you obviously can't just scrap the Euros altogether. I'm not saying that, that competition has to happen, but like, it just makes you think how many players, and I'm going to be serious. I hate to say it, but I think there's going to be at least 3 players in the Premier League that are going to suffer career-ending injuries because of all of this.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I genuinely think the human body can only take so much, and this is too much.
Yeah, and that's where the issue lies with Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire has played. I mean, he didn't need to play against Iceland. He didn't need to play. Just give someone else a bloody game. We don't need to play. And you run the risk of taking years off the end of his career in playing him in so many games where he doesn't.
I think that's just because you have no other centre backs, though, because he was playing Kyle Walker, and Eric Dyer back there too in the back three. So,
honestly,
you say that we don't, but there's how many English centre backs are there out there? These are the you just give him a chance.
Scar's tactical genius, the man who knows everything, the man who's going to take England to the finals.
He took us to a semi-final of a World Cup, mate. I'll always back him for that. I'll always back him for that.
Southgate, you're the one, if I seem to remember, and then 48 months later, that the trend of Southgate out was trending on
that's
Twitter.
just the English, mate. That's
Run away to the sofa, run away. How we get there, we're not going. How we get there, I don't know, because all I know is we're watching the sofa.
But the one thing I'll say that the Nations League has benefited is Scotland. I think that's one thing. I'm absolutely delighted that we managed to make it.
I watched the game, mate. I was really chuffed for you. And I don't know if you watched what Darren Fletcher said at the end of the game, and I agreed with him totally. He said Mitrovic put himself as number 5 because he wanted the glory, and it comes to it. And Mitrovic, when he was walking up with that penalty, the ball in his hand just did not look confident at all.
Do you know what the funny thing was about that, Dan? I actually said, and I think Josh will vouch for me on this. I actually said once that penalty came to Mitrovic, I was saying he's missing. Because I remember he missed his last penalty for Fulham against Sheffield United, and I think he went over the bar.
The best bit is for me is Marshall when he saves it and he turns to he's like, "Is it okay? Is it okay? Is it okay?" And you can see the player, and then off he goes. I absolutely love that. That's and the thing is, right, football gets such a bum rap because of the fans, and it does, but. Yeah. Moments like that are why we love the game. Moments like that are why we follow this game, isn't it?
It's absolutely amazing, and
of course England, Scotland, mate, in the Euros, brilliant.
I know it's going to be absolutely amazing. And
I'm calling it now, mate. I'm calling it now. We do a watch along for that game.
Oh yeah, I would love to do that. Absolutely love to do that. Maybe even be there. Nah, I'm joking. Actually, I did actually see prices of hotels had gone up by. I think there was. I've seen some Scotland fans actually paying in excess of about £500 a hotel night to go down to London to watch England Scotland.
Just remember this.
Oh, absolutely. I suppose the final thing we have to talk about, and it's come as a complete shock around the footballing world. Remember 2014, Brazil lost 7-1 against Germany. Well, Germany, wow, what on earth happened to them? 6-0 against Spain.
Lucky Lau needs to go. Otherwise the World Cup of the Euros is going to be another failure. He's done. His time with Germany's done.
Isn't it just standard, though? It's a standard with countries, but they go through cycles. So France, 98, 2000, were incredible, won the Euros, won the World Cup. Spain had their time where they were invincible. Germany have had their time. It goes in cycles, doesn't it? You've got to remember that he's done. In fact, actually, I will say one thing about Joachim Low is he's done such a great job from where he took them. But like Josh said, I think he's at the end of his cycle as a manager now, isn't he?
I think it fits exactly into what you say about a cycle of an international team. I think he's at the end of a cycle. I don't think he can rebuild. Definitely. I don't think he can rebuild this German team. I think he is actually quite a defensive coach too. If you think about it, I think they need to bring in a new, fresh, new fresh young players, and I think they need new, fresh ideas with it.
Yeah.
Do you, Josh? I'm gonna ask you this first. Do you think the fact that Löw said to the likes of Mats Hummels and Thomas Muller that it was basically time to step aside and let younger players come in? Do you think that was a big mistake by Löw?
No, because if you look at Deschamps, he did it with Benzema. Deschamps has done it with Benzema. He's done it with other big French teams, and they turned out good. I think it does come to a time where, unless you're a small nation like a Northern Ireland or like a Scotland, where you need those players. I feel like when you're a big club and you've got these really good youth players coming in, and it was clear at the World Cup, especially that loss to Sweden and South Korea. I think it comes to a point where you have to say, thanks, but we need to move on. I don't think
Germany are a bit of a victim of the German Bundesliga now, where the Bundesliga there's a lot more foreign players going to play in the Bundesliga now. So you're seeing a lot less complete German sides now. You got to look at Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah.
Their man's Haaland, isn't it? They've got Sancho on the right. They've got Bellingham in there. There's no longer this whole situation in Germany where the young German players had all that playing time, were playing elite football, the likes of Muller coming through, the likes of Mats Hummels. They had the time to develop. Now I fear that you're seeing a lot more foreign players going to play in the Bundesliga and taking up the positions sometimes of some really good young German players.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. But like Jurgen Klinsmann said it very, very well, you can lose 2-3-0, but not 6-0. I mean, 6-0 is an absolute tanking in. I actually agree with Josh. I wonder if Löw will actually survive this. I think he will. But if you remember, I think the decline of Germany's been there since the 2018 World Cup. The fact that they lost 2-0 to South Korea, they beat Sweden. They were very lucky to beat Sweden, but they lost to Mexico as well. I just think Germany have not been the same since basically they won the World Cup. And that can happen to you. That can happen to you.
It happens. It's a cycle. These teams go through these fantastic cycles where they get these players. The only nation I'd say that have had that cycle but not won anything is Belgium. Belgium have had such a golden generation. And one gripe I've always had about Belgium is when they were ranked number 1 in the world, and I don't agree with that. I think you've got to win something to be ranked the best in the world. You wouldn't go to a football, you wouldn't say in the FA Cup or the Scottish FA Cup, Hamilton have got to the semi-final but lost, but they were the best team. That they're ranked number 1. I've never been a fan of that. Never been a fan, but I don't think Belgium will win a major tournament. Not with the players. I think they've missed the boat with that. I really do.
Josh, do you agree with what Dan said about Belgium?
Yeah, I think Belgium are a decent squad. I do, but I really weirdly think, and I could be completely wrong, but I just don't think Roberto Martinez is probably the manager to take in Martinez. Sorry, my apologies. Yeah, I don't think he's
Matteo.
Yeah, Roberto Martinez. Heads away. See, I love how much he lives in my heart. Yeah, so Roberto Martinez, I just don't think he's the one to take Belgium. You have managers who will take teams far, and then you got the managers who will win things. He's never been really a winning manager, really. And yes, he wants to win. He wants to win, but every you always have miracle stories. I think Roberto Demiteo is a perfect example. For example, he wins the Champions League and gets sacked the next season. So you get that, but I just don't think he's a winning manager. And if you look at that game against Japan in the World Cup when they were 2-0 down. When he went 2-0 down, and he had to bring Fellaini on and play a really tough game to win and all. I don't think that back three. I think that back three system of Belgium's will be worked out when you've got Tony Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen in the back. That could be really easily exposed in the back three. So I think they will go far, but I can't see them win. I think I would be very surprised if Portugal or France don't win it.
What, the Euros?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we will.
France are something else, aren't they? France are.
We will.
France else.
Well, look at Group F: Hungary, Germany, Portugal, France.
The winner of
What
the
a
winner
group that is. That is a group of death right there.
Yeah, I agree. I think the winner of the tournament's in that group, isn't it? It's definitely in that group.
I think so. Gentlemen, it is. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we've gone 1 hour 54 minutes, and honestly, it has been an absolute joy. And to everyone who will be watching this, I hope you do enjoy this as well. There's been some very good points made tonight. Dan, first time on the channel. It's fantastic to finally get to meet you and finally get to chat to you. Where can we find you on your socials, please?
Yeah, so just as it says below, at Football Want, follow me on there. Follow me, and do you know what? Don't just follow me. Follow non-league football. Give non-league football the follow it deserves. Because I'm telling everybody that's listening to this now, as I said before, non-league football, it's a bug. Once you get bitten, you won't go back. I can absolutely 100% promise you that. So give it a follow, and hope to see you all soon. And Doug, thank you so much, and Josh for having me on. It's been it's been fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
Would you be interested in coming on again?
Without a doubt, mate. Without a doubt.
As Doug knows, I work behind the scenes. I'm getting people on as much as possible, so I like to have my list of people who want to come back on, so I can.
Yeah, of course, mate. Definitely. Let me know. Let me know when you need me, and I'm happy to come back on. Definitely.
Yeah, we'll definitely get you back on, and thank you very much to Chris from Villa Together. I know he had to head off. He did message me saying that he's on another call, but absolutely fantastic to get him as well. And we'll definitely have both of you back on the channel hopefully before Christmas. Christmas.
I think it'd be a good time to maybe say down. We have a very good podcast on Monday coming up, don't we? I've lined up.
Certainly do. We are joined by Connor from the Cop Council, and Nathan and Paul Morgan are back on the channel. So 3 Welshmen, a Scotsman, and a Northern Irishman. It should be a fantastic podcast on Monday. But guys, thank you so much for watching this, and I really hope you have enjoyed this special podcast as well. If you do like the podcast, please hit that subscribe button, smash a like on this video. We are very, very close now to 700 subscribers. I'm about 20 away now from 700. If we get there before the end of the year, that would be absolutely insane, considering I was at 100 subs by January, and to see how much this channel has grown over the 11 months is absolutely fantastic as well. But thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back with you on Monday night, same time, 7 p.m, and we'll see you all later. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Premier League. I'm sure there'll be some very good games as well. See you later. Bye-bye.